Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Gravity Gaming Platinum League pre-show. I am MXL, and it's just me and Taco tonight. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with TA. Blech.
I mean, all right, bro. Do you want me to flame you already, or
I
wait a
listen.
little
I know
bit?
the flames coming. We'll get there. We'll
Okay,
get there.
okay,
I'm
okay.
sure. Yeah, I mean, week 7 tonight. We've got some interesting playoffs implications coming through in some of these games that will be happening either tonight or later this week. Spoiler: Chosen got rescheduled again. What else is new at this point?
Mhm.
But I do want to start just by looking through the games from last week. I'll save the streamed game for last. TA Divine Revolution Ice Age Rev taking the 2-1 over you guys, and I think that was their first win technically. So what happened?
I don't know. They picked up what is it, a new jungler, and then I think they changed their mid laner as well, if I'm not mistaken. And these guys look like a new team. They just seemed like they needed some direction coming from the woods, and they got it with this new guy. I don't even know his name, but he's popping off. And then I think they picked up No Name in the mid, which
Yeah.
um, I believe was an upgrade in the position. So they're just taking names left and right. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely tend to agree with you on that front. No Name, Sir Jackson both feel like notable upgrades in their roles, and it definitely makes this team feel a lot different. Um, I'm interested to see if they're going to be able to continue that momentum, and I'll let you flame me here in a second as well. But beating your team and then proceeding to beat my team in the same week, and that's the first two wins for Rev this
I
season. So
mean,
start of something big.
that reschedule is just like, all right, guys, we
Oh, it bit us in the
rescheduled.
ass.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
reschedule this, and then we get new players and say LOL to Brennan.
yeah, yeah.
It's so funny.
Actually, this is where they bring back their old jungle in mid just to fuck with me more, right?
Yeah,
Is that's what we'll see tonight.
exactly. It was just for
Uh,
you.
I really hope not. But yeah, I mean, it could be the start of a notable swing, and of course, we're gonna end up seeing them tonight. If they're able to continue this momentum, there's a chance they end the regular season 5-4 after starting 0-4, which would be pretty impressive and could sneak them into that last spot in playoffs. Of course, we'll get a clearer idea of how that's going to shape out as the season wraps up here. But SON Leviathan, no quarter gaming. SON, kind of an expected 2-0 on that front.
Yeah, I mean, I thought No Quarter could have taken a game just because they are, relatively close to these guys in the standings, but Esso and Leviathan just look unstoppable. They're still one of the two undefeated teams we have series wise, so that's still really exciting. Um, and they just look a little bit unstoppable.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. They're one of the two that is undefeated currently. The other one was on stream last week, and they get to face off next week. We'll
Mm.
we'll see if we can rearrange some things, see if that game pops up on stream, because that will be nothing short of a banger. Kind of the fight for first that will be happening on the 26th. But next up, we saw Glacial Valkyrie taking, again, kind of an expected 2-0 over Clinical. Your team's, your favorite team, rather, not doing too
Hey,
hot right now.
okay. Last week we thought it was going to be the logo update buff. Now I think they need to revert back to their old logo, and then maybe they'll take a serious because like they tried the logo thing. I get it, but bring back the Microsoft
MS
Paint,
Paint, yeah.
MS Paint back because like it didn't work, guys. Just got to switch it up again.
Um, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna switch back to the logo, just based off the fact we have their updated logo on stream right now. I do
No,
miss the old logo.
the
It
old
was kind
logo
of
was based. It was
it
so
was
good.
kind of an S tier logo.
Yes.
Um, Unfortunate to see
So
that one finally
not
go.
just to be a meme. Clinical again is our only winless team still remaining. But I still think this is a hard matchup. I've played against Glacial Valkyrie, and they're not a pushover team. It just seems like they were a team kind of like Rev, where they like lack direction, and uh, Clinical seems to lack even more of it. So it kind of makes sense. This is a 2-0, but kind of happens that way.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Clinical, the only team right now without a match win, but notably, their one game win was against No Quarter Gaming, who's currently sitting at 4-2. Right, like they've seemed to have high moments. We even saw them on stream against Esso and Leviathan back in week 4, where they looked good, even in that 0-2 defeat. So if they're able to hit those highs, I'm really excited to see how that will pan out. Next up, VRG Olympus Imperial Gaming. VRG takes the 2-0 via forfeiture. IG not participating going forward, from my understanding. So that will also lead to implications for tonight, for the rest of the playoffs race, etc. Um, Spoiler: Rev gets a free win, so maybe that 5-4 is possible. But that brings us to last week's streamed game as well, the featured matchup: Chosen Reborn, Elysium Rush. Elysium taking the 2-0, and I'm going to start this off by saying game one was a hard draft diff.
Hey, you said you were going into this game playing spicy stuff.
I wanted to play APMF. I
Okay,
will
yes,
say that.
but I thought Yasuo was the spicy stuff because I've never seen you
No.
play Yasuo. I
I
don't
have all
know.
right. I had to send this to Tessa too. I'd sent a screenshot of my client because I have M7 Yasuo. I play like a decent amount of it, but it's fine. I guess I'm not. You guys don't perceive me as
You're just not.
toxic, which is a good
No,
start.
you're just not that guy, pal. I don't know what to tell you.
You're not that guy.
You're just not that guy. No, I mean this is kind of expected looking at the standings,
Yeah,
knowing both teams. Um, for MXL's sake, I would have liked to see a 2-1, just to boost
that's
his.
some hopium.
Yeah, that's me. That's my brand. I'm hopium copium. Injected into my veins. But again, kind of expected looking at both of these teams. It's unfortunate that that is your team, but I think you were kind of expecting it going into this one. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say we ever prepare to go 0-2, but when you're facing down an undefeated team, it is definitely a tall task to say the least. Um, Naysayers, I just set mid, man. Really, really. That's so cursed. It's fine, but yeah, I mean, impressive showing. I think Chosen game two specifically looked a lot better than in game one. I think game one was kind of just a slow bleed until they fell over. Game two, there was a lot more life. It felt like there was a lot more fight. It seemed like a better game. So hopefully that sticks going forward. The other undefeated team is their opponent this week, and I guess we'll start there. SON Chosen, another
well,
beast to try and tackle.
you said this was rescheduled, right? The Sunday.
Yes, it's rescheduled to Sunday, but it's still happening
Okay.
this week.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I mean, I'll be waiting for the 2-0 from SO and Leviathan and the match results on Sunday, I guess. No offense, but
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't give it to you this one. Copium
Yeah.
or hopium. It's looking bleak. Again, Leviathan's one of those unstoppable forces. It's just unlucky that you guys got the luck of the draw facing them back to back.
Yeah. It has to happen to someone, right? Of course.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll just yell at Shang for the schedule next time. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a hard series. I think that's kind of even underselling it to a point. I think SON has really, really strong players in all five roles. Chosen's probably lower in all five roles on the ranking power or the rule based power rankings. So we'll see what happens. Of course, maybe the power of friendship prevails. It's the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's some
Yeah,
copium.
maybe. Yep.
Uh, well, now I get to flame you because well, you're playing Elysium Rush next week, Taco.
It's next week. I thought it was this week.
This week, this week,
Okay.
yes.
I'm not playing.
Listen,
I'm not playing.
I know you're not.
I
I meant your team. Come on.
um. So again, since it's my team and not MXL's team, I'm gonna have copium. I don't think we win. I think we take a game maybe. I think the introduction of we didn't get a new mid laner, but unfortunately, our Lord and Savior Sybil has stepped down due to, you know, League wears people out. He's been doing this for years, and he kind of just wanted a break. So we got a new mid laner that might shake up drafts a little bit, and I think we take at least a game, hopefully, maybe copium. Um,
That's some
but
serious scope.
come on, bro. I gotta have faith in my team, not yours, because not my team. So
I Sure, we'll go with that. I'm interested to see what happens in that series. I think It's kind of similar to the SON Chosen set in my mind of they kind of feel like they're the same series, just, I'd say TA is a little bit better of a team, so the skill difference is a little less, but, um, I'm expecting to see kind of just Elysium take over games in solo lanes. I think they have stronger laners, I think they have a stronger, like, team identity as well, so,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just hit you with the 2-0. If you're gonna do it to me, I'm doing it right back.
I mean, hey, fair enough. That's fine with me.
Such is the way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. We'll also just touch on this as well. Glacial Valkyrie 2-0 over Imperial Gaming. That's confirmed. That's already happened. Again, Imperial being removed currently. So, uh, congrats, Glacial. You guys are 3-4 now.
So
Currently,
all I want to say about this series is I think it would have been a banger if it was played out. Uh,
yes.
I think again, Glacial is one of those teams that lack direction. Imperial probably on the same wavelength, but I think Imperial would have been able to like cheese a couple games with their spicy picks in the mid lane and different things they do. I probably would have predicted 2-1 Imperial if this game was played. But again, unfortunately, Imperial is no longer with us, but that is okay. Um,
They, they didn't.
well, yeah, they didn't die, but but they died in the league. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Sure,
um,
fair enough.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a better analogy, RIP.
Wow. Weird. Going strong tonight with two people on the pre-show. Love this. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see how Glacial's going to be able to take this. Looking at the rest of their schedule as well, they play against NQG and close out their season against Chosen. So NQG is kind of the lower end of the upper half, I would say, and
Yeah,
Chosen should just on paper be an easier series to close out on. But they're at least the Chosen set is kind of a must win. No,
y- I believe so. I mean, if they're looking to squeak out of, the gauntlet into the fifth seed where Divine currently sits, honestly, this fifth through eighth conundrum we have right now in the standings is really, really close.
yeah,
And with Imperial not playing the last couple weeks, it makes it really, really spicy. Anything could really happen. I think mathematically, everything is possible fifth through eighth right now.
yeah. The only thing that's not possible at this point in time is clinical. I do not believe. Well, no, they actually could. There's
I,
some really weird shit that could happen where clinical
yes,
like sneaks
yes.
their way into fifth.
Uh,
I'd have to double check the schedule to make sure it's actually possible, but just looking at the records, it's technically possible. Um,
yeah, I think the team's fifth they would have to just like not show up all of
yeah,
them
yeah,
and then
it's
clinical just accept all the 2-0 FFs and all that stuff. So
yeah, and we'll they close out against Elysium Rush as well, so that would not be too likely. But before we get too off topic, no quarter gaming VRG Olympus, another match happening tonight. Both teams doing fairly well so far, both sitting at 4-2, both looking strong. VRG technically higher. They have a game differential of +5, so they have 5 more wins than losses. NQG only at 3. So I'm curious as to your thoughts on what's happening here tonight.
So, if I'm correct, say I'm not saying this is my prediction, but if no quarter 2-0, does that bump them up
That would
to
bump them.
third, or would
Yes.
that change the game? So, like, honestly, this might be a very important game for no quarter to show up in 2-0 VRG. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. But always securing a higher seed, no matter like what place you are, is really important for playoffs. And if no quarter want to, try to cement themselves in the top three, this is a really important week for them to win. This is a very pivotal game because this is the team that is directly above them. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, I
but
mean, that's kind of the same deal for VRG, right? Like,
yeah,
this
of
is the battle
course.
for third right now. You win this game, and realistically, I think you lock yourself into that third seed. And even with tiebreakers, even with how everything falls out, it is more than likely that unless you just kind of roll over and fall apart for the last 2 weeks, you end up in 3rd with that win in that series tonight, no?
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So really important series to watch just for standing wise. It really kind of like cements that middle of the I wouldn't say middle of the pack, but like towards the topper end of the table, what it's going to look like going into playoffs.
Yeah, and of note, I would even argue the team that loses this is in contention for ending up in the gauntlet, right? Like there's a chance where that could even happen. Where
It
you have
yeah,
this
that
team that's
that
4-3 fighting a bunch of like 3-3s, 3-4s, like it's really close down there.
yeah, that that point is really interesting because that is kind of like luck of the draw and
Yeah.
how these teams show up. Like like it's really on divine, glacial, chosen, and rev what the actual playoffs look like. I don't see either of those teams actually dropping down the gauntlet. That would be really sad. I think the only spot that I see that is like really, really, really tight is the last place fifth. That's the one I'm looking at. I really don't think No Quarter or VOG drop down below third or fourth.
I kind of agree with you. I think it would be spicy as hell to see
Oh, of
that. It'd
course,
be a
yeah.
fun narrative to work around. But that will bring us now to tonight's featured matchup Revolution Ice Age taking on Clinical Rev. We mentioned it. Starting 0-4, they're now 2-4. They've been looking good. Some notable upgrades in mid jungle specifically. They've looked much better, much more cohesive as a team. Clinical still struggling to find their first series win, but is this the series they're going to be able to do it?
So I did tell you before the pre-show that I was going to play this character of, Clinical wins these, but I'm rethinking it now. I'm sorry, Clinical. Rev is on fire. Uh, their mid jungle duo is just really, really making this team click on other levels, and I don't think this is unfortunately the week you take a win. Beforehand, before they switched that mid jungle, I would have been like, all right, Clinical, this is your week. I believe in you. But, I got to switch it up. I'm sorry. I'm going to give it 2-0 for Rev. They just look so strong right now. Not as strong as, SON or Elysium Rush, I would say. But this last couple weeks it's like night and day. It's a completely different team.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe if Clinical wins tonight, Taco just has to actively predict against you because I think this is the first time that Taco's predicted against Clinical. So
True,
maybe
true. Maybe,
maybe
maybe
Taco is why they lose.
I'm playing mind games right now. Or I'm the reason they lose. Who knows?
Clinical, if you guys have jerseys, I think Taco needs one real quick.
Yeah,
But
yeah, please.
I do want to take this last little bit of time that we have. Of course, we'll delve a little more into the stream match in a second here, but I want to look at each team's strength of schedule, I guess, to
Mhm.
close out the season. And we're going to start from the top down, start with ESO and Leviathan and Elysium Rush because they play each other next week. And then they close out SON against VRG and Elysium versus Clinical. I'd say Elysium has the easier time closing out the season.
Yeah, just because they have clinical in week 9.
Yeah.
Again, VRG is no pushover, so I still so in a world where SON win on next week, I could still see them like I don't know. I would have to do the math, but Elysium still could be like the first lock is not secured after week 8, right? Because they can still go up.
It would depend on the series
Yeah,
score. I'd have
the
to look into
series
it more.
score.
There's some weird stuff that can happen because the first tiebreaker is, of course, game differential. The
Yeah,
two teams are currently tied in said game differential, so then it would go to head if it's still tied. So it's kind of an important match next week still.
yeah. No, of course, of course. I just think, yeah, I agree with you. I think Elysium has a
Yeah.
stronger quote unquote end of remaining schedule, but it's still next
So
week is the big boy.
I want to grab then real quick. Which team is getting first seed right now out of these two, if you had to pick one, with those schedules in mind?
I'm probably gonna have to go Elysium.
Ooh.
Um, I think I think clinical. I think Elysium kind of has a guaranteed 2-0. week 9, unfortunately. Sorry, clinical. I'm like just dogging on you this week. But and then obviously next week's series will be close. I think it'll be 2-1, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll probably edge it towards more Elysium. But I'm gonna go. My prediction is Elysium locks first.
All
It'll be
right.
close, but
Yeah, I'm excited to keep an eye on that. Next up, we've got VRG no quarter. Uh, in terms of their closing out the season schedules, VRG faces Chosen Reborn and SON Leviathan, like we previously mentioned. No quarter facing Glacial Valkyrie and Revolution Ice Age. This is a lot harder to tell me of who's ending up where, which one's going to be a little higher up in the standings. But again, what's looking better on your in your eyes?
if I was playing on these teams and hmm, so it's honestly, I kind of would want to be no quarter. I think their good matchup versus Glacial Valkyrie, I think they edge that out. And then again, Rev may be on fire right now, but we don't know what they'll look like in 2 weeks. I don't know if the streak will continue. I think it will, but in my mind, I want to try to avoid those top two dogs as much as I can. And VRG has Sun Leviathan the last week of the schedule. So I think ease of schedule definitely edges out no quarter.
All right. I'm interested to see that. Of course, with those two teams facing tonight, that could throw a little bit of a wrench in the plans as well. But that brings us now to finally TA Divine sitting at 3-3 currently. Tonight, Elysium Rush. It's a tough one. Next week
Yeah.
you got Clinical, and the week after is an FF win. So
So since we're not looking at week 9 for here for Divine because they obviously already have the FF one, um, obviously this week is going to be really really hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't believe we'll win, but hopefully we take a game just to kind of help our game differential a little bit. But then the week after that we have clinical. So really bad week 1, and then week 2 we're just all like dancing in the moonlight kind of stuff. Like we're vibing. No offense,
yeah,
clinical, but it's it's
it's it's looking good. I would expect to see you guys end 5-4 right now.
yeah, yeah. That's respectable.
So yeah, and that kind of goes back to the narrative we built for TA earlier in the season, right? The litmus test team. If you're able to beat
Mhm.
them, you're in the top half. If you're not, you're in the bottom half. And TA sits in the middle. Kind of makes sense, all things considered. Glacial Valkyrie currently sitting at 3-4 tonight. Will be well having an FF victory next week. No quarter gaming. Following week, Chosen Reborn. Their odds don't look too bad either.
Again, like this bottom half of the bottom half of the teams remaining is like really weird because like you can't predict who's gonna show up. It's kind of coin flippy. Again, I in my mind I would probably edge over no quarter, but I could see Glacial just like squeaking in a game uh for to like boost their game differential, and then week 9 they're against Chosen. I think that'll be an interesting game to watch. I don't know who takes it because it's kind of you and Glacial like function like the your two teams in my mind function very similarly. You guys just like I don't think anybody on these teams are bad players. It's just I think you guys lack uh like a leader. You lack
I'd say
drive,
cohesion.
cohesion, stuff
I
like
think that's a
that. So
good
it's
word.
just yeah, it's that last week is a toss up. I can't give it to
Yep.
one side or either. Yeah.
Well, we'll touch on Chosen real quick then as well. Of course, this week we'll be playing S1 Leviathan. Next week, playing against VRG Olympus, and we already mentioned the Glacial Valkyrie series. That is an uphill battle if I've ever seen one. Currently sitting 2-4. It's not pretty.
Yeah, I don't have hope in the Sun Leviathan game, unfortunately, but Chosen, I could see maybe you squeaking a game, week 8. I don't think
Okay.
it's like out of the world of possibilities. Again, you guys are still 5 solid players. It's just you don't seem to gel. Uh, Again, I see you squeaking a game there, and then week 9. Again, like we said, I kind of can see it going either way.
And real quick, just to blitz through the last of this, Revolution Ice Age this week facing Clinical, next week taking on an FF victory,
Yeah.
and then the week after No Quarter Gaming. Currently sitting 2-4. Do you think they make it? Do you think they go for that 5-4 record?
Genuine, I think it's really, really possible. By the way this mid jungle is playing, I again this week easy 2-0, next week easy 2-0. Oh, not easy, but it's an FF win. And then I think week 9 will be definitely like I think we should, switch the stream game to Rev no quarter that week. To be honest, considering the last week an FF win through TA, I really think I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give him the 5-4. I
All
think they can
right.
do it.
I'm definitely interested to see. We'll figure out the streamed game, of course. I think next week after tonight's games, more than
Yeah,
likely, we'll figure out the last streamed game of the season. But lastly, Clinical needing a miracle right now. They are confirmed at the very least into the gauntlet due to Imperial removing themselves from the league. What this means is that they can still play for spoiler. I have to double check to see if they're able to mathematically able to make it into a playoff locked spot. It's not likely regardless, but tonight they're playing Revolution Ice Age. Next week, TA Divine. The week after, Elysium Rush. I don't have high hopes. It's
no,
not going to be an easy one.
no. I think if I was Clinical, the week I would want to at least get a game win would probably be this week. If they get a game win this week, it really throws a wrench in Rev's plans on trying to squeak into playoffs and not have to go through Gauntlet. I think they can really, not play for their own, morale boosting, oh, we can make playoffs, but play to ruin other people's day.
Play to ruin other people's day. That sounds like it might be the narrative of
Yep,
tonight's
yep.
series. Of course, Revolution Ice Age, Clinical, the two teams kind of needing that momentum, needing that little bit of a swing. Taco,
Mm.
I want just one last thing from you for this series tonight. Where are your eyes going to be drawn? You mentioned Rev's mid jungle. That's where mine are. I,
I'm
what you
gonna
got?
I'm gonna have to agree with you. They just look like they rule the team. They drag the team with it. I'm not saying they're the hard carries, but something just clicked adding these two guys. It made everyone play better. It's definitely gonna be mid jungle for me as well.
We'll have to see. Sir Jackson cheering himself on in the chat. Love to see that. But yeah, we are going to take it to a short intermission. Thousand Eyes and Shinkari will be breaking down tonight's games. Revolution Ice Age Clinical, a big must win series for both these teams, and it promises to be one hell of a show. With that said, we'll let Thousand and Shinkari take it right after the break.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Thousand Eyes, and here we are for our streamed game of this evening. Revolution Ice Age is taking on Clinical, the seventh taking on the 10th seed of our tournament here, and we're gonna. This is just a little bit of a. I'd like to say this is an exhibition, but this is mostly folks playing for for those more advantageous spots in the gauntlet here. Obviously, if Revolution Ice Age comes out with a win here, they move themselves up to tie themselves with Glacial Valkyrie up in that sixth seed spot. And if Clinical wins here, they're gonna move themselves up just a little bit further, but they're still pretty far away from tying themselves up with Revolution Ice Age to get themselves a better spot in the bracket. But that is just here and there. But we are ready to get stuff ready for us here. Thousand, are you ready? Yeah, they're gonna have to do a bit of showing their hand tonight. This is definitely going to be an important game. Obviously, for Revolution Ice Age, you've got a lot more to compete for. Best of ones, rapid fire does sound relatively easy from the outside in, but I think the big thing is just, the mental game of League of Legends. You can only do so many games. Like we've seen some games go to best of 5, and by the end, just, people making a bunch of sloppy mistakes of being dialed in and in the tank for, multiple hours. So, this is going to be really Revolution Ice Age looking to get this important win so that they have a better time in the bracket for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And apparently I was not heard because it default on the microphone in OBS did not pick up the singular microphone that I have. So
Wonderful.
Hello, I'm here. I'm also running the stream. Help. We are going to be, I think, getting into the draft just now. Teams have started up as we do have Lulu, Hecarim banned away right now, and a Malzahar. So obviously Lulu has been pretty popular. Hecarim also starting to rise back up in popularity after his recent changes. But a lot of these looking to be like they're just target bans. They're trying to take out the right people in the right places.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. It's definitely interesting for sure here. Pharma does have 102 games on the Malzahar here, but it is their second most played champion. It's tied with Swain as well, and they have some pretty decent numbers on the two of them as well. 59 and 57 percent win rate on both of them respectively. So definitely, if Revolution Ice Age wants to take a big player away from Pharma here, it looks like they're more comfortable playing against the Swain or even picking the Swain for themselves than locking it in for sure. But Renata Glask for Killatron down in the bot lane is going to be the first pick for Revolution Ice Age. Let's see what the follow-up is.
Yeah, you take out all the non-standard characters that these players can play, and you're going to probably stick with the meta then. Renata has been very popular, as well as Seraphine, so I would not be surprised to see that locked in. And then, that does open up a lot of things for Clinical's composition. They can put that mid, they can put that bot, they can put that support. A lot of different it's now becomes hard to figure out lane matchups, because until you finish this draft, you're never going to know for sure where this Seraphine is really going.
Yeah, for sure. Is the Pantheon is going to be hovered here as well. A bit of a flex pick as well. We've seen Pantheon be played top lane recently. We've seen also some Pantheon support in the long past. If you want to play a very aggressive bottom lane, if your support player is not much of a support player, sometimes you just pick a Pantheon and be a stun bot and block a lot of damage for your AD carry. But Revolution Ice Age locking in an early season 12 favorite here, Diana and Yasuo. A very, very strong duo mid synergy.
Yeah, it obviously has been very popular for a long time, and will stay popular just because it has that inherent capability of essentially a push button give Yasuo an ultimate, right? Because technically you have to hit the ult, but Diana has a button to dive on to people, so no matter what, Diana can get in on there and make it really easy for Yasuo to then ult off of that. We do have the Ashe lock in here for Clinical, which once again, no clue where any of this is going. This could be an Ashe support, this could be an Ashe AD carry. Seraphine and Ashe could interchange. There's no way to actually tell who is going to be the carry in that lane.
Yeah, I mean, it is fine either way, right? Because Ashe can do well as a support, building that Imperial Mandate into Muramana sometimes, and just doing perfectly fine, just kind of slowing down the enemy and just doing a bunch of damage that way. Whereas Seraphine can still function as a carry. She does really well with a bunch of damage items, right? She still functions in that kind of like magey kind of supporty, similar to a Lux kind of role.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's even more important to note too here. Ashe, Seraphine specifically, Ashe can slow them, which makes Seraphine's E even better. She can root very easily thanks to the slows that Ashe has literally on everything that she does. So Seraphine can play off of that really easily, once again, no matter which role that she is in. But we are through those second bans here with the Aatrox, Aurelia, taking out some of those lane bullies, so Shang has a little bit of an easier time in that top lane. Maybe not, because that looks like they are going to pick a Heimerdinger for Clinical. And if that is going top lane, it doesn't matter what Shang does, because Heimerdinger will reign supreme.
Yeah, I mean, Heimerdinger is pretty consistently one of the highest win rate champions, no matter what season it is.
Yeah.
No matter what meta it is. If you have a player on your team who is good at Heimerdinger, they are going to win. Like, it's crazy, like, how good Heimerdinger is in the right hands, and how good he is in those matchups as well. And, it's pretty crazy. Like, there's a lot of times when I do, like, research on, like, oh, what champions are good this patch? And almost every time, without fail, highest win rate, Heimerdinger. It's crazy. It's crazy how often that is.
Yeah, I'm looking at this composition now. In Revolution, obviously, they've locked everything in here. I think Clinical have just thrown them for a loop, because the Heimerdinger probably going into that mid lane for Pharma to be able to play. Revolution don't want to put Yasuo up against that. That's not a fun time for Yasuo. Which means they need to now flex him. He's going to be going into the bot lane. They're going to take the Akali instead. But that completely changes your composition. The Yasuo not going to have as many levels, and probably not going to have as easy of a time going up against this Seraphine Ashe. It becomes now a lane that you need to engage on, but you've already picked the Renata. You don't have hard engage to work with this Yasuo now.
Yeah, it's a pretty important kind of dynamic here, whereas, a jungler, the reason that we see a lot of mid and jungle duos is because the jungler just has better access to the mid lane than it really does any other half of the lane, right? No matter where you start on any side of the map, right, you're always going to end up through the mid lane, right? Obviously. So it just makes it so that, like, Diana Yasuo, very good mid jungle duo. But if we're seeing this going Renata Glask and Yasuo, not only is this Diana Yasuo combo not going to land, but Renata doesn't really have any ways of activating Yasuo's ultimate once they hit that level 6.
Yeah, it's a little difficult. It's not what you'd like to see, I think, because I really am a little concerned here now, because how do you really... The DPS is not there. And you have a Mordekaiser, you have a Pantheon, like these aren't incredibly hard to kill champions, but when you're building off of Akali, Yasuo, Diana as your damage sources, it's like, well, if we blow our cooldowns, Yasuo is all we have for damage, and he could get kited out pretty easily by the Heimer, Ashe, Seraphine combo.
Yeah. Not to mention that, like, half of these champions are really good with Zhonya's Hourglass, right? Like, if you are a team that benefits from burst windows, then, like, you know, Heimerdinger's going to build a Zhonya's Hourglass. There's an argument for Seraphine as well, depending on where she's going, right? So now we have just like an issue of like, hey, we need to burst these champions. Oops, they are untargetable. Whoopsie.
Yep. Yeah, and then Mordekaiser at the same time too could just take really anybody here. There is, outside of a fed Yasuo, there isn't really anybody that he is at major risk of dying to.
Right.
I mean, like Tahm Kench never really going to kill him, especially in the Death Realm. Akali has just, I think, way too, once again, unless super fed, is not going to be able to burst him down. Diana, very similar. Like, he can kind of just take whoever he wants and work with that, barring, once again, that they are super fed. Looks like we are going to get the Pantheon in the jungle here, which, you know, makes a lot of sense. The Mordekaiser going into that top lane. Now, Heimerdinger probably mid lane here, and then Seraphine, Ashe bot. We still just don't know who is the one farming there.
Yeah, sadly, no Dingle Dangle in the Jingle Jangle this time around, so we're just going to be getting that Ashe and Seraphine in the bot lane for sure. We just, you know, like you said, we're going to be waiting to see who's going to be the AD carry. And I feel like even if we do see either Maya Manaka or Foam lock in, I feel like even once we get to that stage, I feel like 2XIC Foam could still play like I feel like we won't actually know who's playing carry until people have bought items.
Yeah, it's I think yeah, I don't really know. Currently looking at just what Clinical has put together, what I do really like here is they have, I feel, a solid mid-game composition that will kite extremely well comparatively to what Revolution Ice Age have to get in. It kind of depends. I'm looking at objective fights, right? Yasuo does not have easy ways to get in outside of the Diana. Mordekaiser exists to possibly just take away the Diana and take away that combo. Now you're relying on either Yasuo doing it himself, maybe a Renata handshake, or a Tahm Kench knockup, none of which is really ideal and is going to be difficult to kind of maneuver around from that point. And then you're also now, I am kind of just curious now how Revolution is going to manage this once we get to mid-game fighting. I feel like they are going to really hit a hard wall that Clinical is going to shoot past and continue to shoot past as the game goes forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is, you're right. Like, it's a composition that at one point had some really good synergies, but then it seemed like they had to pivot super hard in order to give Yasuo a much better matchup. And now these matchups are just kind of odd for Revolution. And oh my god, I'm brain farting really bad.
Yeah.
Clinical here
You're fine.
has a lot of better matchups here. And we can take a look at the pro guides kind of evaluation here. And they pretty much said a bit of the opposite of what you were saying as well, right? Because like we see that the Revolution Ice Age is just scaling a little bit better than Clinical as the game goes on, right? And man, I guess that's a little bit weird for me to say, because I feel like Diana starts to fall off, and like I feel like the best scaler here might be Akali for their team, like not even Tahm Kench, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Tom Kentrell's scale in terms of he will be tanky, but that's not the problem here.
Right.
It is consistent and easily accessible damage for the composition, and that's just never going to happen. And the thing too is it plays right into what Heimerdinger really wants. Heimerdinger wants people to dive him. Once he gets Zhonya's, he just plops down his turret and he is good to go. He does not care about anything. He plops down the turret, Zhonya's, and then you're taking exceedingly high amounts of damage when you just kind of had to do that in order to take him out in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's also really good into a team of 3 melee or 4 melee and 1 short range champion as well. So Heimerdinger is really going to have the run of it this time around, and Pharma is really going to have to prove themselves here because, as much as Clinical has a good team composition, they have good like lane matchups here as well. Are they going to show us here tonight that they're going to win? Because like they've been on a very long losing streak. They're 0-6. Clinical might have the advantages here, but it's really up to me of whether they're going to show us tonight that they're going to be able to take advantage of those advantages that they have in these lanes.
Yeah.
Signs are kind of showing that even though they're up against a more even matchup tonight, man, last week they went up against a similarly rated team with the Glacial Valkyrie and went 0-2. So not exactly the stars align, not exactly looking hopeful, even though they have a very good amount of lane matchups here to win this early game here. But we are going to take just a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be on the Rift of game number 1 of Revolution Ice Age up against Clinical. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Thousand Eyes, and here we are on the Rift of Game. What?
I'm scared already. Continue.
Okay. I thought I had said something wrong. We're on the Rift of game number 1 of Revolution Ice Age up against Clinical. Now, Clinical here has picked a comp to give them a bunch of advantages in their laning phases here, and let's see how Revolution is going to adapt to these, as they do have a little bit of an awkward team composition on in the game. 1000, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm not sure if Clinical is. And the main reason I say that is they have... Okay. Oh, no. This is actually really bad. Maya Manaka took the support item to start.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did 2XIC Phobe. So both of those players thought they were the ones not farming, and now Seraphine does not have a starting item because she left base.
Well,
That was why I said, oh.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's gonna be a bit of a problem considering like how mana hungry Seraphine is early. Like she kind of, I don't want to say she relies on it, but like the Doran's ring start is like really, really good for her. So having this start is not exactly great here, is now a bit of a miscommunication is going to throw off the early power of this bottom lane here.
Yeah, not what you'd like to see. Because now that means they're early trading, and that's supposed to be what they're really good at here. Is their early fighting should be really good because they can poke really hard, and they'll still be able to do so. I think they'll be fine, but they're losing out on some of that power that they really would have had if they had not done that.
Yeah, that's the big thing here, right? Like now that the poke is lacking the oomph here, now here's the fight. Maya Manaka
my
taking
goodness.
incredibly low here. Ignite is ticking as well. That's going to be the shield, but one auto attack is going to get rid of it. First blood goes over to Killatron 100. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Shanghai fighting Daze. Bull's been back in. Both these HP bars are pretty low, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a fight to finish. Meanwhile, up in this top lane here. Wait a minute, Shanghai still going for a little bit more. Auto attack, 1, 2, tongue lash, flashes away, goes underneath, sweats down the slam. Shanghai in some trouble, gonna best of voyage a
Why
little
do you
bit
have
forward. Gonna
W?
Daz, Daze away, flashes forward, throws out the Q. They're auto attacking back and forth, real close. Daze, 21, gonna be the one picking up the kill in the top lane. It's a 1-for-1 across the map. First blood goes over the blue team.
Okay. I would like to know why Shang took W on Tom Kench. Because I don't think you need to engage at level 2, and if you're trying to fight, you need the gray health. You need the thick skin. I am a little confused why that happened. Now maybe looking at a little bit of ganking, if Bad Leroy has anything to say about it, but a little bit unfortunate. I also did want to point out, and the last time I'm going to bring this up because I feel like we've harbored on it enough. If that was a Doran's ring in the Seraphine's inventory at that bot lane fight, she probably survives. So that mistake actually did cost them big time there.
Yeah, it's now No Name dashing past Pharma's turrets here. That's going to be Sir Jackson showing up as well.
Ooh.
Taking up the turrets. No Name is going to have to run into that bush, but Sir Jackson is going to be the one picking up the kill in the mid lane. Now Heimerdinger is now no longer there. Going to be able to put another kill on the board for themselves and finally get themselves a bit of 300 gold for themselves as well.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there. Heimer almost getting the kill and getting away with it. But we're still waiting on that Zonias. We're still waiting on the items, so not really going to happen just yet.
Yeah, we do have Bad Leroy waiting in the wings here. Does not have a blast cone to get over the wall here. So it looks like that gank is not going to be happening anytime soon. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a waiting game down in this bot lane here because they definitely need some support. These waves have been shoved in over and over again. Seraphine has been missing a whole lot of farm. Look at that CS difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's why.
God, yeah.
They've just been getting really good handshakes, good trades. Overall, it's been really good stuff from Killatron and Levy. I feel like they've done all that they can to abuse this lead that they have created for themselves. And now, Seraphine having to back once more, still not getting farm. This is really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, here now 2XIC foam here. Yeah, it's just real tough because how do you walk into this? This damage that Yasuo has, just throwing out a tornado could just be a whole bunch of damage that you just can't tank. Now they're having staggered backs.
Yeah. And they kind of have to at this point too. Both of them getting a tier, which I think I'd just rather see the rush for the mandate here. I don't think the tier, you need some level of extra ability to stay in this lane, and even just the mana regen to keep pushing those W's, to keep on top of people with that would be really big. But right now it looks like Maya and Foam are just really hard leaning into them, just scaling, trying to get into that mid game and eventually outscale when they have the ranged advantage come mid to late.
Yeah, I mean, but the problem is they need to actually get there first. Speaking of getting there, Sir Jackson's definitely in this mid lane here. Gonna prop that
tripped.
knee, not gonna be able to land. Yeah, he's gonna get stunned up here. He's gonna be in a bit of trouble. Flash forward from Bat Leroy, looking for Sir Jackson here. Goes into the smoke cloud. Not gonna be able to get away from this. 2xic Foam coming in as well. It's four people in the mid lane here. Still not gonna be able to find that gank that we're looking for. Alrighty, Sir Jackson's able to get away from that, but now they're making their way over to the dragon.
That's a major loss for Sir Jackson there to dive in, not hit anybody with that ult. And now it is on cooldown, which just means that Pharma, Bad Leroy, Foam, they have capabilities to kind of do what they want here.
Yeah. Eevee biting off a little bit more than they can chew here. Now, we're seeing the first Drake of the game being claimed. Mountain Drake going over to the red team here. This might be able to give them just a little bit more breathing room to get them to this kind of later game that they want to get to. And note that, like, really, bot lane is really the only lane that's kind of struggling here. Everywhere else, even though they've fallen behind, have gone rather equal here. Is Killatron. Oh, great.
Nice handshake. Yeah, that's obviously Killatron has looked so comfortable on this Renata. And not only just hitting really good shields and trading really well, but also getting those handshakes down, which with the Yasuo is crucial for them to be able to do anything in that lane. Without that, Yasuo is not really capable on his own, especially with how close to tower they've been. It's given Levy the opportunity to actually trade where they would not have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah, Killatron is pretty good on the Renata Glask as well. While they're not a big student of the game, so they don't really have as many games as some of the other folks in this match right here. But still a 59% win rate across 34 games. Like, that's not bad. I take that. That's about, like, I don't know, like 20 out of the 34 games. That's still pretty good for the Killatron here. Is now pulling the back in. That's a whole lot of burst damage right here. 2xic Foam in some trouble. Levy still underneath the turret here, gonna be able to get away. That's gonna be the hostile takeover coming across here as the minions are gonna start attacking Maya Manaka here. Taken pretty low, still above half HP though. Pantheon looking to answer. That's gonna be the stun coming across, but it lands on top of Minion instead. Diana's coming in through the tri-brush here. Might look to tower dive if they're able to shove up this wave. They're waiting right now, so that turret dive gonna happen in just a little bit here. Okay, here we go. Sir Jackson coming in, does have that Moonfall available, coming in onto Bad Leroy here. Going to be able to pick up that kill. Now diving onto Maya Manaka here. Going to be able to pick up that second one. Sir Jackson picking up 2 for themselves. Going to be able to get away as well. Not going to fall to the turret this time. They're going to grab maybe another plate. Yeah, not going to be able to do it this time. They're just backing away.
And Foam really wishes that they could walk up there, just get that Diana, but won't be able to do so. They do lose out big on that dive. And we also do have confirmation now that it is going to be that full tank Diana, which I believe did get nerfed a bit, if I remember correctly. But I may be misremembering. Regardless, that was what gave the ability for Diana to dive that, not die in the process. And another couple of kills going over to the Yasuo and Diana.
Yeah, and a lot of the reason that wait a minute, Shanghai pulled into the Shadow Realm here. Daze looking for a couple star chips, goes over the wall, not going to be able to interrupt the Abyssal Voice this time, but now Shanghai
good escape,
stuck in a bad space. Yeah, they're going to be able to get away here.
Ooh.
Finally able to do so, but that's a really good stun onto No Name in the mid lane here. Pharma looking for a little bit for themselves. Once again, this is a very slippery team. Can't quite nail them down and finish them off that they're hoping for.
I feel like Pharma was also just not fully prepared for that one because it was the Ash arrow that hit. Because you could see the comet coming from Ash onto the Akali, and Heimerdinger really only got to put down a turret and then try to follow up with the stun a little bit afterwards. By the time the damage was going down, the stun was already almost over. So I feel like there wasn't that communication between Foam and Pharma, and Akali able to get away because of that.
Yeah, so You know, a lot of good kind of ideas here, but it looks like there might not be as good communication here as No Name. So much damage on the Pharma here, but now they're stuck. Bad Leroy with a good stun, going to use the ultimate in order to get to the other side of the turret there. So R2 going to be able to get them to dash away. This bot lane finally looks to be able to do something that they've wanted to do about like 5 minutes ago.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
They're gonna have to back away, and just look at the farm difference in bot.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Seraphine switch was unexpected or what was the plan, because it does not feel like Maya has been able to get comfortable on this and has been stuck, obviously been dove a couple of times, but that miscommunication of the item early on, the just trading has not been there. And now that Killatron and Levy have gotten not only a strong lead out of that bot lane, Seraphine is essentially not a champion. Yasuo has almost everything he needs with the lifesteal, the tier 2 boots. He's able to get in and skirmish really well at this point. Seraphine has 2 amp tomes and a tier.
Yeah, it's really not equivalent here as they're looking to get an advantage maybe in the top lane here. Shanghai in some trouble. There's a whole lot of gray health here. It's going to chew up, spit out Mordekaiser here, but the mace comes down. Mordekaiser once again grabbing a kill for themselves up in the top lane over the big fish.
All right, Shang, you and I need to have a talk, buddy. Your bot lane is dumpstering right now. You don't need to do anything. Let them carry you. You are the tank. You don't need to get ahead. You are scaling fine. Don't fight that. Don't put yourself in a position to fight that. Freeze the lane here. Hold it as long as you can. And if it means you have to give up farm, give up farm. It doesn't matter. You have a 2-0 Diana, a 2-0 Yasuo who is up 80 farm. Just let it go, buddy.
Actually, he's only up 71 farm.
I'm going to slap you if I ever find you in person.
You'll get your opportunity at some point. I'm going around to a bunch of places, but regardless, yeah, I mean, this is God. That is going to be the first thing. Hi, Thousand. This is the first time we're meeting in person. Yeah. What was that for? You know what you did.
Don't act dumb. Yeah, no, it's now we're starting to see the fruits of the labor here from this bot lane, as they are going to be able to roam into that mid lane, get more pressure on that mid lane tower, which means that bot lane needs to react. And remember, they're not really worth much at this point. They're not capable of holding this. So we're losing more plates. We're losing more gold as time goes on. Yeah, obviously, plates just about to fall, but Akali's able to shove this up and very capable of getting out of sticky situations. There is no room for Clinical to play any of what they want to do right now. They are just stuck waiting until their characters can actually get online and become relevant in this game.
Yeah, I'm surprised even that that Revolution didn't decide to throw their bot lane in the top lane here. Okay, Shanghai looking to fight Daze here. Gonna pull Sir Jackson into the Shadow Realm. That's going to be the Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming across, but only going to stun Shanghai. As Sir Jackson doing a good job of kiting around the big metal monster. As now that's going to be Moonfall coming across, but they already taken a whole lot of damage. We're going into the bot lane for a little bit of action. No Name's going to be able to pick up the kill there, but that's finally going to be a kill from Maya Manaka here. As 2 members of the blue team go down. Double kill for Maya Manaka now. They're finally back on the scoreboard. Seraphine getting back into this game huge is now Killatron 100 here. Gonna fight. Here comes Levy here, but Bad Leroy's gonna use that opportunity to immediately get away.
I still don't get why we are still fighting this. Like, we don't need to fight Mordekaiser. Like, yeah. He's not gonna take towers that well. He can't just ignore Tom Kench on the tower. He has to actually go toe-to-toe with Tom Kedge to a degree, and you don't have to fight him. Once again, we saw during that Akali solo kill the Heimerdinger on the bot side. Lean into what is working. Don't try to make every single lane a win, because that's not how the game works. You have a finite set of resources. Invest your resources into the things that are working.
Yeah, just because one lane is dumpstering doesn't mean that the entire team is out of commission. If you put Mordekaiser into a vacuum, which is very easy for him to do, by the way, he's very strong. Is now Levy looking for Bad Leroy here, gonna have him hop over the wall, but immediately into the arms of Killatron, who had already been stunned by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Now Levy's in a whole lot of trouble here, gonna get stunned up by the Heimerdinger, gonna do a great job. Oh, well, I'm getting a bit of visual bugs. Here's Levy over the wall. Shanghai showing up, gonna try to get away from it, gets stunned up, not gonna get rooted this time, but now Shanghai's in some trouble. 2 versus 3, flashes forward, trying to get away. Good knock up on a Bad Leroy here. Shanghai gonna use that thick skin shield to try to survive for a little bit longer, but not gonna be able to get away from this one as Pharma picks up another kill. That's gonna be 2 for nothing over on the top half of the map.
Yeah, really unfortunate here, and I don't know. I feel like Shanghai is playing just a little bit too far forward.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think like you obviously have the Akali and the Yasuo that you can just lean into, but like you what you need to do is say, like, just don't go past river. Don't go past where your dead turret is, and just stay there. If they keep trying to put more and more resources into killing Tom Kench, Tom Kench's gold value is going down every time, and then you're also going to be bleeding out on the other side of the map, because Yasuo, if you leave him alone, he will take towers very quickly.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah, real good Enchanted Crystal Arrow here. No Name's in some trouble. Does not have that Death Realm available in just a little bit, but should have it just about now. That's going to be the hostile takeover coming over. Killatron is now into the Shadow Realm here. Days in a bit of trouble for themselves, because now it's in between 4 members of the blue team here. Comes outside. That's going to be immediately piled on. Great charm from the Seraphine here. Mayamanaka coming through, but not going to be able to finish anyone off just yet, as that's going to be 2 teleports coming in for the blue team here. Sir Jackson looking for a little bit more as well. And now it's the bottom lane as the only members of the red team down here trying to defend for the last bit of damage that they can. That's going to be the Abyssal Voyage forward, but the Camtoid find the range in order to finish off Seraphine here. So they're going to take a whole bunch of kills. 2, 3 for nothing in favor of the blue team right here as they go to pick up the first Infernal Drake of the map.
and that's a great turnaround. Great teleports to come in. Shanghai being in the right place at the right time there. Grouping up is what Revolution want here. They're at the point where they are just stronger altogether than anything Clinical would really be able to put up a fight against, and now they're having to invest a teleport and a Heimerdinger ultimate just to take this Rift Herald, as they are losing their bot side and getting nothing else out of it. They are desperate to get another one of these towers down, as they only have that top side down, and you can see it in the gold disadvantage now. It is about, actually, is that only 4K that I'm seeing? I thought that was more, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
I got like halfway through that sentence, took a look at it, and now I'm like, huh, that's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a Mordekaiser is actually doing pretty well. 2-1 and 2, 150 CS. Like it's the third highest CS in the game, and one of the better stat lines, score lines as well. So Mordekaiser are actually doing pretty well for themselves. I don't want to discount Heimerdinger either. So like, they've got a couple champions kind of keeping them in the game, making sure that this gold difference doesn't, become more than it already is. But it's nothing to write home about.
Are you saying you want a full price Heimerdinger?
Full price Heimerdinger? What is that? What does that mean?
You said you didn't want to discount Heimerdinger.
I don't think anyone wants to discount Heimerdinger. What even is that?
I don't know.
What does that look
You're
like?
the one that said it.
Mom, I know. And now I'm trying to like workshop a bit here, and you're just kind of shutting it down. So what's up?
I'm not shutting it down. I'm just saying it's on you to figure it out, man.
Look, I'm saying we could work on this together, like as a team, but I guess we can just bicker like an old married couple, because that's now our bit. Bad Leroy here. Gonna fight Killatron and Sir Jackson here. Crystal Air comes across, is gonna give them a little bit of time, but Bad Leroy is already taken a whole bunch of damage here. No Name is gonna support for a little bit more. Gonna be taken down. A teleport coming in from the Mordekaiser here is gonna give them a little bit of trouble, as Levy's pulled into the Shadow Realm here, looking for those locator cards, looking for that Obelisk. The Tormentor really wants to get in here, get those come out the Battle City tournament final here. Is Levy gonna pop that survivability shield? They dash in, get the knockup, gonna get the last breath as well, gonna be able to turn and around the champions. Here comes the hostile takeover. They're attacking each other, gonna be able to double kill for for the Yasuo here is now Pharma is the only member left, knocked into the air, taken down by Sir Jackson. Gonna be a 4-0 in favor of the blue team. These HP bars are so low, but close only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. Blue comes out on top.
Revolution with such a good dive there, just constantly trading off the aggro, making sure that nobody is actually going to go far enough under, especially that last one where they kind of dipped out, the Yasuo dipped out, and they made sure that it was then Sir Jackson, one of the tankier members on this team, that was capable of taking that aggro, who ended up engaging on that fight. Everybody gets out alive, and once again, Revolution come out swinging, and there's no answer on the other sides there. They get some damage on the mid lane turret, and that's it. No actual gold value gained from Clinical in the process.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely pretty tough because they even brought out the big guns too, right? Heimerdinger was up there, Mordekaiser was up there, but like even at the end there, they did a really good job, like you said, dancing around with that turret aggro, making sure that no one was tanking it for too long, and they came out on top pretty handily as well. I mean, if this was kind of like their shining stars in this game that they were losing, and now after losing a fight like that with their two biggest players, I wonder what the mentality is like after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just let's scale up. Let's take as long as possible that we can. Pharma, I got a little scared there walking up. They have no vision on that top side, so if somebody had been there, Pharma would just be dead. They will get that one charge, get the objective bounty. That's pretty solid there to get that there for Pharma. So now a little bit of extra gold here. I also just feel really bad for Foam because the Ashe has been doing pretty solidly, especially post laning phase. These arrows have been immaculate, hitting across the map and just pinpoint accuracy every time. But now another objective spawning in, another dragon coming around, and it's going to be very important for Clinical to get over here because they have to try and stop this soul point from starting out.
Yeah, Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes across, doesn't land onto anyone just quite yet. Blue team is looking to continue pressuring them off here, but I think just standing there is going to be enough for them to get them away from the Drake here. I think they want more. Levy is pulled in. That's a good stun onto him. Already
not
taking a
together.
decent chunk of damage. Has to get away. Now they're slowed up here. That's going to be the Seraphine ultimate coming across, but only lands on the Shanghai
Good stun.
here. They're underneath the turret. They haven't been able to get a whole lot here. They're taken pretty low, about half HP for each of them here. Sir Jackson is in some trouble, dashing around, trying to dash away. Not going to be able to get away this time. Now they have to be on the escape. It's a 4v5. Looks like they're finally going to be able to get away. This is a This looks like a dragon angle.
It is looking like a dragon angle. They don't have Heimerdinger ult. They don't have Encore. It's just the Enchanted Crystal Arrow here. Obviously, they took out Sir Jackson, so they want to go for this. But now a TP coming in from Akali on the other side. This could be really bad.
Yeah, she is full HP. Killatron coming in from the side as well. They don't have that hostile takeover, but that's a good Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto the Akali here. But the team is split. Shanghai's going on to Daze here. Levy is there with him, but they immediately peels away. Shanghai's taken pretty low here and goes down. That Leroy's going to be the one picking up that kills. Now Levy dashes to the backside with the last breath here, trying to dash forward to get into the rest of the team. They're looking for something. Not going to be able to heal off of that either. So now that's another shutdown into their pockets. They're looking pretty good as they continue to fight this Drake. But still, the red team comes out on top here.
Jackson
real good
is
win for them.
alive. Jackson is alive and trying to run over. I think they're going to get this regardless. Yeah. Okay, they will get that. No smite on the jungler was a little sketchy, but they did pull that one off, and that was exactly what kind of fights Clinical wanted. They got to the objective first, so Heimerdinger had the ability to sit down his turrets and set himself up. They didn't have the ultimates, but with Heimerdinger set up, it's essentially an ultimate there. And then you had the teleport from behind on No Name, but No Name immediately caught out. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes and pushes Akali away. In the process of all of that, Shanghai and Levy are pushing forward. They're saying, all right, Akali's going in. We need to fight. Akali's already getting out. And now, after that, they turn back off of Akali and converge on those other two people that are left. Really good team fighting from Clinical and the communication to pull out what targets they actually needed to be hitting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, communication has been somewhat of a low point that we've seen. So for that to kind of come around here and come out and let them come out on top is definitely really good, because take a look at the gold lead now. we're looking at a difference of only 3,000 gold, maybe even a little less, right?
Yeah.
This is a big gap that they've already filled after picking up multiple shutdowns and multiple bounty objectives as well. So this is looking to be a comeback story for Clinical here. We're about 25.5 minutes in, and this is where, you know, you kind of predicted that this is going to be starting to be in the favor of the red team, especially after, you know, the bot lane is able to catch up after that kind of horrendous early game there.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it's still fairly, so it's about 71 CS, but it is 212 to 140 as opposed to 120 to like 30. So it's a much smaller in terms of percentile difference, which is huge. And Seraphine is also one that doesn't need a whole lot of items. She just really needs that mythic, maybe the tier item completed, and she is already able to do her job. It is really Heimerdinger that is going to be the high point of the damage here for Clinical. And when they are in those positions they can set up, that is where that team is going to shine. Now, you look at what is still capable from Revolution. It's not impossible, but they are getting into a difficult situation.
Yeah, Enchanted Crystal Arrow didn't land. They popped the Shirelias, able to give themselves a little bit more distance, so they were finally able to peel away. But that's a whole lot of members of the red team in the top half here. So this Baron not exactly looking advantageous for the blue team, even though they kind of had some good vision already kind of set up for it.
Yeah, and also interesting to note, that red ward not seen by the control ward. So that's one they actually aren't, they can still see into the dragon pit here. If I take a look here, yeah, they are able to see into that Baron pit. As you can see on stream, they got everything they need. It's just they can't see that ward, and they know Baron is not going to be taken here.
Yeah, now we take stock of where we're at. 27.5 minutes into this game. 46.6 thousand gold for the blue team, up about 3.3 thousand over their opponents. Of course, that number keeps changing by a little bit every now and then, but it's about where we're at. They're tied in Drakes, up in turrets for the blue team as well. So, you know, this is still looking like anyone's game at this point, especially considering that that tier item is now finished for Seraphine as well, and about to be finished for Ashe as well. So this is a whole lot of pretty big power spikes for the team here. As, yep, there it is, Sonya's Hourglass. A lot of very important items being finished for the red team here. So even though they're behind, don't count them out just yet. The next team fight that we see could be disastrous for the blue team.
Yeah, not completed just yet, but will be very shortly here. Ashe Arrow hit.
Okay, yeah, bad Leroy here in some trouble. That's going to be the Seraphine ultimate coming across, but R2 or R1 from Akali is going to be able to get them away here. Now fully backing away. Also, I could have sworn for a moment Heimerdinger had the Zhonya's Hourglass, and then it just broke off into its pieces. So
he may have undid it for something else, possibly. I don't know.
Possibly.
He does have an extra amp tome in there, so maybe he. You know what it is? He's probably not finishing it because he wants to use the stopwatch and then buy the Zhonya's because it'll reset the timer. So that's probably what you saw of it being completed and then being like, no, wait, stats wise, this is better.
Yeah. Alrighty. Shanghai not really looking to engage just quite yet. Blue team finally here, but we do have a line of scrimmage set up by Heimerdinger here. It's going to be a little bit hard to get into this team. Akali on a bit of a flanking position here. Only 4 members of the blue team here still looking for something here. As right now, they're only really fighting over the Scuttle Crab here. That's going to be the go button here. That's going to be Shanghai getting a good knock-up. Daze going to pull them into the Shadow Realm here. Some low health bars. Oh my god, so much damage across already. 2 members already down. Daze out of the Shadow Realm here looking for the rest of the team, but they're already long gone as Maya Manaka is being dove on. Sir Jackson is going to be the one finding the kill down on the backside there, and double kill for the Yasuo as well. It's 5 for nothing. The clean ace and the first ace of the game. We saw the red team were looking real strong coming into this game, but immediately taken apart. And now Revolution Ice Age gets the run of the map.
Yeah. After that, just complete dominoes falling here for Clinical as they just end up going up against a Revolution Ice Age that hits every single ability they needed to. The Akali ult across 3 people, the Diana ult on 3 people. You didn't even get the Yasuo, and then all throughout that, they get the Renata ult as well. Levy, you are probably just going to be going down here, buddy.
Yeah, he throws up the wind wall here, looking to turn it around on a foam. Might be able to get it for themselves, and they're going to be able to. They're going to go down here, which is a little disadvantageous. You have one less person with a Baron buff, but I think you end up still you ended up trading 2 turrets for your life, so I think that's fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, a little bit greedy, but ultimately not bad. And because of that, yeah, they get so much extra gold here. We take a look at that gold, and it is about a 9k advantage here. That's difficult to come back from, even if you are a scaling composition. And now things get a little bit dicey I think for both teams, because Clinical are still hitting that scaling point. They are still going to be a little difficult to fight. It's going to continue to take those really strong team fights from Revolution to make things work, because now how do they take turrets down without killing the teammate, the enemy team, right? Yasuo can't walk up. Renata does 0 damage. Akali can't walk up. Like, everybody else is melee other than Renata. So damage on towers is going to be an issue, and it's now going to be increasingly difficult. The 1 tower on the bot side being down is huge. Ooh,
we might have a good combo here. Charm and stun on a Shanghai here, but No Name dashing forward, getting a really quick kill onto Ashe here. Means that they might be able to finally siege down this turret, like you said. That's going to be the dive here. Shanghai looking for a little bit more.
Oh my god.
That's going to knock them into the air. Levy's going to be able to not going to be able to find the kill, but is going to be able to get the damage done for No Name to finish them off here. That's going to be spat out bad. Leroy now in some trouble, running to a turret that isn't there. Shanghai going to pop that great health and start to heal up as much as they can here, because they need to live through this fight. It's happening so long. Days finally goes down. Heimerdinger going to follow. Bad Leroy for 4. That's going to be the complete ace once again. A second ace, so close to the one previous. We thought that they were close, but turns out they're miles away. Revolution Ice Age comes out huge as Sir Jackson diving on a foam now. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes across, going to give them a little bit of time, but the only thing that they can do at this point is hope and pray that they decide not to hit the Nexus, but they're going to do so. They're bringing down the house as the Nexus goes down. Sir Jackson pads their stats a bit. Game 1 goes over to Revolution Ice Age.
Yeah, a nice finish to game 1 as Rev get 2 incredibly good team fights back to back, and they end up with a massive lead that they use to just finish things off. And that last fight, just seeing Foam get caught out there by the Akali and blown up immediately, opened up opportunities just a little bit too far forward. I kept talking about how it was going to be difficult to push those towers with Clinical in the situation that they were. The thing that we didn't really take into account is, well, if they push out their base, it's a lot less safe for them, and then you can make those picks. I think Clinical needed to stay in their base, wait for the waves to come to them, and use the structure of their own home base to keep themselves from getting picked and flanked.
Yeah, I think the only hard part with that was that Levy didn't grab the inhibitor in their last push. And I think that was the big thing stopping them from doing that, right? Because those waves pushing aren't super waves. So it's going to be a lot harder for that kind of style of play of just like, hey, let's just let the waves come to us. Because a lot of times they're just going to be crashing like either far away. And unless there was like some strange buildup of minions, it's really not going to happen anytime soon. But we're going to take just a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be in picks and bans of game number 2 of Revolution Ice Age versus Clinical. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. everyone, welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Thousand Eyes, and here we are in picks and bans of game number 2 of Revolution Ice Age versus Clinical. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, Revolution Ice Age is currently up 1-0 over Clinical after their game that started off pretty well, a little bit shaky in the mid game there, as they took a little bit of some very aggressive, very even greedy positioning in some cases, lost them some kills and gave over some shutdowns and bounties over to Clinical. But once the late game happened, they cleaned up their act and got a whole lot of aces, was able to sweep through and finish off the game in about 30 minutes. So here we are, game number 2, Revolution Ice Age, looking pretty good coming into this game. And Clinical has a habit of going 0-2, so we'll see how this game goes.
That's so mean.
Look, I'm just reporting facts.
They have a
reporting
habit
facts.
of being terrible and bad at the game.
I am reporting facts as they are demonstrated on a Google Doc. Okay? There is a Google Doc. Okay, I am just reporting information that I have recorded from a Google Doc.
I'm glad that you have extremely robust sources such as Google Doc.
Yeah, Google Doc. There's a Google Doc somewhere with a bunch of people's scores and match records and game records. And let me tell you, Clinical has gone 2-1 once.
Yeah,
1-2, should I say.
I can believe that. Last game did not seem to be great. So hopefully this time around we get a little bit of a better start for Clinical. I think that's really where things became a struggle. They weren't doing great early on, and that hurt them once we hit that mid-game spike where mythics were completed, Revolution was on all cylinders, and Clinical were still just trying to make the ground that they had lost in the early game. So this time around, maybe things go differently. We'll see. Clinical and Revolution currently banning out exactly the same as they did in game 1.
Yeah, the problem is with a lot of these bans is that Clinical has to basically ban Hecarim every single game.
Yeah.
Sir Jax, not only is Hecarim one of the best characters in the game right now, Sir Jackson has nearly 300 games on the channel. 271 with a 57%, with a 59% win rate. That's really good.
It's really
and
good.
That is a recipe for disaster. If you let that pick go through. So the Belveth ban is a little interesting.
Okay, there's something different.
But yeah, there's immediately
Finally.
something different as well. Yeah,
I mean,
finally.
it took a bit longer than I was expecting there, but Clinical matching the draft just tit for tat up until that MF came through. So we are still getting the Renata, we're still getting the Seraphine, we're even still getting the Yasuo, but it is going to be the Misfortune alongside the Seraphine. And now things could change a little bit going forward from there. Clinical currently hovering that Maokai, be an interesting pick to discuss, but the Diana Yasuo is going to be locked in again. And I don't dislike the Diana Yasuo, but I also didn't see anything that worked from a combo standpoint for it. Yeah. It was mostly Yasuo did really well, Diana did really well. Yeah. They didn't really match ultimates really that much.
Yeah, it's just, man, you're right. Like, I think the Yasuo did well, but it wasn't like conducive to them winning unless they're locking in a different AD carry this time around. Right?
I would hope so.
Yeah. If anything, like, maybe we just put, Levy on a different character. Just because something worked doesn't mean that it is the best possible pick that you could lock in, right? Levy still has a lot of other champions in the pool, right? Like, Levy has 111 games on Zeri with a 55% win rate.
The problem was the Heimerdinger. Like, I feel like if you want to do that, you have to ban the Heimerdinger here, because if you leave it open, they're just going to pick it again. It is something Farm is really good at. Why wouldn't you pick it, especially when it's great into Yasuo? You force Levy onto that. There is the Heimerdinger ban. So now they have a little bit more room to put that Yasuo in the mid lane, and you then get Levy onto a better AD carry like that Zeri or anything similar. So I like that move. I think that's the right move, even though you might be scared of the Aatrox, Irelia, which were banned in game 1. I think you just tell Shang to just sit tight. buddy, we got it. We're boosting you. We're gonna do great. Just sit there, have a good time, and we will get you through this game.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I don't even think Pharma is just completely out of options at this point. Seraphine is still a champion that they have regularly played on.
Yes, I don't doubt that.
Comfortability. And also Swain is still on the table as well, who's also a really good matchup into a lot of short-range characters in Melee.
Yeah, I mean, so Yasuo does okay into both of those though, because Windwall can block a lot of Seraphine stuff. Yes, Swain is a little bit better, but it's more of a nobody dies in that lane matchup as opposed to the Heimerdinger, which literally does not allow Yasuo to play the game for the first couple of minutes of it. So I like the change regardless. Tom Kedge gonna be locked in. They're locking the Victor once again. The Yasuo seems to be going on that bot lane. So really, they're only changing the Akali out because it was banned. Revolution otherwise running exactly the same composition as they did in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's kind of forfeiting still once again, like a lot of the early game power of Yasuo Diana for a mid game power of Yasuo Diana, right? Like Renata Glask is good, but I think the other thing here is that Victor isn't going to provide the same amount of damage as Akali is. Also,
Yes.
now if you take a look at the team, once again, we still don't have a source of consistent damage from long range. Like that's like a lot of people are like, oh, why are marksmen good? Why are marksmen good? Because that's why, right? You have a long range character that doesn't have a burst window, that once everyone is done dealing their damage, if there's someone still alive, you still have someone with reliable damage afterwards.
And sieging.
Yasuo, yeah, and sieging as well, right? Revolution Ice Age barely has siege. They barely have any sort of like long range damage, right? Victor is able to do so, but he has burst windows, right? He can't just walk up and start auto attacking Viego, right? Like he's going to lose that match.
Yeah, it's... Oh, man. So what this does mean now, though, is because it is not the Akali and it is the Victor instead, mid lane becomes a scaling matchup. Victor not going to have any kill pressure early, really, until he starts getting those evolves. Vladimir also wants to just kind of scale up, hit that level 9 point, and then Vladimir becomes a decent champion to stay alive. You look also at our bot lane here, which I'm assuming that is a Maokai top, and that we're not getting something weird like AP Misfortune top. But the Maokai probably going up in that top line in the tanky kind of bruisery position. This is great because now Sheng has so much more capability to do well in this lane, and that aggression from the Tom Kedge not going to be punished as hard as I think it was against the Mordekaiser. That was the weak point for Revolution in the early game, or in the early to mid game. Their top lane was not doing ideally, and it was a bit of a problem. Vladimir was locked in the top lane position.
Yep. Here's my called shot. You ready for my called shot?
Oh, I think I know what your called shot is.
Okay. The wild called shot is Maokai Seraphine bot lane Misfortune mid.
Yep, that was my
possibly
that was
more
my thought.
consistent one is Seraphine mid Misfortune Maokai bot.
Yeah, and as we can now see, if that is locked in, Clinical are cowards and are going to be going for the Seraphine mid, and it is going to be the Maokai Misfortune bot. Okay. This actually makes a lot more sense from a player perspective. Clinical obviously have a stronger top lane, and they want to abuse that fact. Vladimir into a melee matchup, very capable of doing so. It's why he goes top lane when he does. Seraphine mid, pushing up again. It is Seraphine against Yasuo. Yasuo doesn't hate that entirely. It's a little frustrating because you can't win wall everything, but it's not the worst thing in the world. If you're gonna get stunned, you have the ability to put up the wind wall and block it. Bot lane, though, is a much stronger lane in terms of kill pressure. You've got obviously Renata Yasuo again against the Maokai and Misfortune. That is point and click engage onto that Yasuo or onto that Renata, and you are really going to be struggling, I think, to deal with that. I just realized I talked about the mid lane matchup being Seraphine versus Yasuo. I hate my life. But now Maokai can just flash point and click engage on one of them, and MF, yeah, okay, you've got the wind wall from that Yasuo. You just walk around it. You have the move speed, unless you're getting hit, to avoid a lot of that and get the damage down. Just don't immediately bullet time.
Yeah, and I think, and I want to definitely like reiterate a lot of the things that you've said, because Maokai does have a really good way of making sure that he can always get on top of Yasuo, right?
Yep.
Point and click snare is good almost every time, right? And Renata Glask is going to have to play less aggressive here, going to have to play boring if they want to keep Maokai off of Yasuo, because Maokai's 1-2 hit punch is pretty powerful, right? And got some changes recently in order to give him just a little bit more fighting power in with items, right, as well. So, you know, we're getting to the point where this Maokai is definitely going to hurt, and having a point and click snare, especially later on when Misfortune can just like run through the wind wall and then just press R, right, is going to be a lot of trouble. So this bot lane that they've kind of drafted here from Clinical, I think I like it a lot more than the Ashe Seraphine. Also, going to be a little bit harder to say who's being the support here. A little bit of a less of an argument there, in my opinion.
A little bit.
But yeah, this is looking to be pretty good. Once again, Clinical has drafted a really good team composition.
So here's actually one thing that I kind of did just think about. Well, one, there's the cleanse on the MF, which is, I think, really important in this. But Maokai, so we have Diana Yasuo, but Yasuo in the bot lane. Diana is going to want to look to gank that bot lane once the level 6 hits for Yasuo, right? Maokai can ward, essentially, with his saplings to make sure Diana does not get an easy way to get in on that bot lane. So effectively, if you're smart with that, you use those saplings not as harass in lane, but to keep Diana at bay and avoid that snowball potential of that combo. Obviously, we didn't see it too much in game 1, but it's a really decent dissuasion tactic to keep the Diana from actually getting anything in that bot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be really hard for Diana to get a lot of, you know, successful ganks here when Maokai can just, you know, point and click. There's the stun, there's the knockback, and now Misfortune is going to, you know, make it rain on top of that. So it's going to be a lot harder to make successful ganks in that bottom lane with such a good tank to back that up as well. And, you know, it's going to be really, really tough. But once again, like, Clinical had a pretty good team composition the last time. We definitely liked it the last time too, but stumbled out of the gate and then continued to stumble as the game went on, really only able to capitalize on major mistakes from Revolution. So they're going to need a little bit more of a better start, like you said, and then, you know, have to be able to make plays for themselves as the game progresses as well. But we're going to take just a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be on the rift of game number 2 of Revolution Ice Age versus Clinical. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Certain fate. It will make our final stand. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Thousand Eyes, and here we are on the Rift of game number 2 of Revolution Ice Age versus Clinical. Revolution is on the blue side, Clinical's on the red. And, you know, if you're joining us for the first time, Revolution Ice Age was able to pick up the game number 1 win after a bit of a stumble from Clinical and being able to capitalize off of that. So let's see if Clinical has already started to clean up their act here. We'll see how it plays out as this game progresses. Thousand, are you ready?
I am ready, and I think Clinical overall has an easier to execute composition than they did in game 1. And it's a little bit less of a fear that they're just going to get run over. We do have a clean start this time from Clinical, which is good to see. But it's still going to be a little bit rough. They hit that mid game. They've got to be very careful because MF bullet time could get blocked very easily. It could get interrupted by the Renata ult, by Diana diving in. Viego does have that X factor of being able to reset really well in fights. So I think this game feels a little bit more like a toss up instead of how Revolution's game last time just started out exceedingly well to the point where there was no capability for Clinical to catch back up.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a little bit harder for, once again, we're going to have to take a look at this top lane as well, because Shanghai didn't really have the greatest of games last time, and now Daze is on a much more favorable matchup with, on the Vladimir, right? Vladimir into melees does do pretty well. Traditionally, range versus melee is definitely pretty good, but here comes Shanghai. Immediately on the damage onto Daze here, already a decent chunk onto their HP, but this was about what I was talking about. Vladimir has about as good healing, if not better, than Tom Kench does.
Yeah, the big question of that top side is you need to keep that range. You need to keep kiting out. You do not want Tom Kench to get in that melee range. If Tom Kench keeps getting kited out, which he should, then Daze will have a absolutely fine time in that lane. If we see more trades like what Shanghai just did, might get a little bit more iffy as the gray health comes in for Shang.
Yeah, this is definitely, once again, I think we're still, you know, we were hoping for better things in the bot lane, and I feel like we're just getting a bit of a repeat here as Misfortune once again falling behind on CS and Levy and Killatron just shoving in these waves underneath the turret once again.
They're losing out in CS, but they're not losing out on health, which means they don't have to back. They're not going to lose out on experience, and it'll be okay. They'll catch back up a bit. You can see they have a little bit more farm, down 4 farm, not the biggest deal. As the wave is now going to start crashing in, and they can farm under tower a lot easier than I think the Seraphine and the Ashe were capable of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Here is now we do have Viego down in this bottom half as well. Bad Leroy coming in. This gank might have started just a little too soon, but Levy is on the wrong side of the map here. Good handshake, but Levy's already taken incredibly low here. Has to try to dash through something in order to get to the other side. Good flash from Foam. Gonna knock him into the enemy team. First blood being picked up by Bad Leroy for Clinical. Real good job.
Absolutely, and there's the difference that the Ashe Seraphine versus the MF Maokai is capable of. Maokai can make those engages happen in the early game. Ashe has to wait till level 6. This time we get the early gank from Bad Leroy, and it completely changes the outlook of this lane. We were talking about how last time it was really rough. It was starting off, the trading was not great. Bad Leroy comes in, and all of a sudden you've got a solid capability to get back and just completely negate all of that. Levy just TPs back into lane, so doesn't miss a lot in terms of farm, but does miss out on that extra pressure that they had going into that.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is that Viego is a snowballing champion. You know, we like to say that all the time, but they've got double snowballers on their team. You know, they've got Viego, Misfortune. If Clinical is able to get a lead, it's going to be very hard for Revolution to catch up, because even if they're going to be able to, oh, but you could just block the Misfortune ultimate. Yeah, but can you block Viego damage? Levy, looking for Foam here.
I mean,
Gonna be able to
technically.
defend themselves just a little bit.
You technically can block Viego W, but as far
Yeah,
as
but like the damage in whole,
yeah, not really. As
yeah.
you know, we do just kind of take a look at everything else along the map. Shanghai while not doing well in terms of health, still coming out ahead in terms of the minion count here. And we checked in Pharma. Currently, No Name and Pharma have just been pushing waves pretty back and forth here, but Pharma running low on mana is a problem.
Good knock up and snare onto Levy here, but the damage return on the foam here, definitely not advantageous. As now, once again, we're still looking at this bot lane because this could open up the whole game for Clinical here if they're able to get a lead.
They're trading so much too, which is not exactly what I expected there. I feel like with how game one went, I thought it'd be a little bit more passive from Maya and Foam, but this time they are really just going at it. And that just means alarm bells are going off for Leroy. He knows there's no TP, there's no flash. This should be the engage.
Yeah, once again, Killatron, real good engage by Foam here, forcing out the flash. Bad Leroy shows up at a great time, looking to follow up on the CC, but doesn't quite land it as they'd hoped. So, back away. Renata Glass Flash is down for a little bit longer. Looks like the wave, once again, is going to be shoved in.
No, that's still perfect for Bad Leroy, right? You've gotten the flash out of the Renata. A regank there, or even just going in from Foam, is going to put Renata in such a bad spot that she now has no escape from.
Yeah. Shanghai, once again, looking to fight Daze, and I feel like I'm starting to think that maybe this Tom Kench pick isn't good for Shanghai.
I don't
Shanghai
think it's
normally...
bad.
Okay, so here it's not a bad pick. It's just a bad pick for him specifically. As I say that, oh my god, sure didn't get a kill, isn't he? Okay, well he's gonna become a puddle. Able to secure the Drake now. Blue team got a Bad Leroy and Foam here. Two members already pretty low. Bad Leroy goes down. Victor gets a kill for themselves as well as now Pharma in some trouble. That's going to be able to give them some dash. Good gravity well is going to slow them down just a little bit here. Pharma still trying to get away, but not going to be able to get away from Sir Jackson. This time it's a good dash is going to be able to get them the kill. Good kills into the bottom lane here. I'll continue on to the Tom Kench. Oh, wait a minute. Shanghai looking for a little bit more. Daze pops down to ultimate here. Shanghai in a bit of trouble maybe. He's finally able to get away. Going to get some good healing for themselves. As yeah, that's a 3 for nothing down on the bottom spot side of the map here.
My god, Shang, let me talk, dude.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, Shanghai coming, looking for the kill on the Daze here. Going to turn into a puddle, trying to get around, kiting around the minions real well. Shanghai's in some trouble. Going to pop that great health flash onto the other side. Flash followed from Shanghai. Going to be able to pick up the kill for themselves in the top lane.
And there, the constant trading works out. Shang able to just get and stay on top of the Vladimir. Thought for sure that Daze was actually going to be able to win that one, but the capability to stick to the Vlad worked out there. We do, you know, if you go back to that dragon fight ages ago, what feels like already, it did go for a 3 for nothing in favor of Revolution, but MF did end up picking up the dragon, so that was a little bit of a misstep there. Jackson smited just a little bit too early there, and didn't need to. Bad Leroy, one, didn't have smite, I don't believe, and two, was on the 450 smite. Did not need to worry about that at all. You just wait until it gets to like 800, 700, and then smite. Now, gank mid.
Yeah, that's going to be a good engage onto Maokai here, but now No Name is in a whole lot of trouble.
Oh,
Almost has
no.
a low HP, but good moonfall from Sir Jackson here. Now Bad Leroy having to flash away from the Abyssal Voyage there. Means they're finally able to get away. Foam is going to walk away.
A really good moonfall there. Keeps the Viego from picking up the kill, and Bad Leroy does get nothing out of that. So overall, once again, another engage there that turns into nothing, and Revolution get a lot of time on this bot side. We talked about it last game. Yasuo is not good at taking towers unless you leave. He's really good when you allow him to get on top of them. Really bad if you can keep him in a siege situation where he does not have the ability to get in melee range. This time, you leave him, boom, plates are gone.
Yeah, I did want to finish my point about Shanghai. Shanghai typically plays a lot more aggressive, kind of like bruisery split pushers. Tom Kench is a lot more of a tanky team fighter. Okay, you know, I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm just gonna stop talking.
We're never gonna get the chance.
Yeah. I'm just gonna caster curse myself every single time. It's not that I'm not gonna get the chance. It's just Shanghai. You know, it's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna fight and get a kill and tell you to stop talking about how if that Tom Kench is a bad pick for me. I'm not saying you're doing poorly.
We are not about me. is what Shanghai is saying. Yeah, Tom Kench damage is good, guys.
Yeah, sure.
And unfortunately, a lot of the Vladimir healing there, one Vladimir healing takes a little bit of time. When you put that ult down, it takes a little bit to come back, and it takes till level 9 when you really start to feel like that cooldown on the Q is back enough to be able to trade consistently. Then you've also got the fact that the W costs a % of current health, and that was used fairly early on. Daze ended up taking, I think, more damage than what he would have if he had waited more on that W to get back. You always, especially around like fairly consistent damage champions, you want to use it late to make sure you are spending the least amount of health on it as you are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's... Oh, wait a minute. Foam is diving in. Okay, it's just a trade. Never mind. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you never know.
They have bullet time. They have bullet
Sometimes-
time in the roots.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, okay, they're going to just trade and do nothing, and they completely explode into a team fight. Sometimes you're expecting it, and then nothing happens. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, the teams never do a good job of telling us when they're going to do a team fight. If you could just like DM us on like Discord,
Yeah.
like, hey, we're gonna team fight at like 12:42. Like if that
Yeah,
just so you know, it happens around that time. That'd be good. That'd be dope.
Yeah. They
you
don't
imagine?
They don't even do that in Pro League. Can you imagine? They just don't tell you
like-
when they're gonna fight.
Yeah. Could
How
you
do you
just
prepare for that?
Yeah, how do you prepare? How are you supposed to prepare? I want everything I do to be planned out. As here we go, Shanghai fighting once again, spitting out Daze up on this top side here.
Oh
Popping the
my
ghost as well, but
God.
grabs a good stun. Shanghai once again floating the power of this Tom Kench as much as he can. Flashes away as well. Blue team now trying to dive on the bad Leroy here. Going to give themselves a little bit more. As that's a great bullet time across, but gets blocked up by the wind wall as well. That's a good last breath. Good bad Leroy taking incredibly low. Going to try to use the Harper. Going to get away, but it's not going to be able to escape damage. Maya Manaka is going to be the next to fall as No Name is already flanked on the backside here. Farmer's trying to get away, but now they're stunned inside the gravity well. The Chaos Storm coming across as well. They're going to get a kill for themselves. Killatron goes down to Pharma, but it's a 4-for-1 in favor of the blue team down on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and all of the team fight damage. Shang, you jerk.
Oh, there it is. Daze is going to survive for maybe a little bit longer, but one more auto attack. Shang is going to be the one picking up the unofficial ace as they're picking up the kill for themselves up on the top half of the map.
Let me
Gonna grab the
talk,
Drake as
dude.
well.
Shang. Shang, not you. I should specify that. No. So much of that fight was reliant on that wind wall hitting. The team fight damage is all in MF bullet time. If you don't hit that, you're screwed. If you do, boom, you're doing great. That time, bullet time was entirely windwalled. Viego does not have team fight damage. He is a skirmishing champ. He takes champs 1v1. He does not have AoE damage. So you get that. It was a great encore. Looked like it could have been great, but it was really smart from Levy to recognize if I block the encore, we're still taking bullet time damage. If I block the bullet time, doesn't matter that encore hits us. They have nothing to follow up with.
Yeah, it's really getting to the point where, you know, we were questioning before whether or not that Clinical could execute on this really good team comp, and now we're starting to really ask that question, right?
Yeah.
7.3 thousand gold in the lead. They're up. This is a similar situation to what we saw in the previous game as well around this time as well, but this time Shanghai is not 0-3. In fact, he's the complete opposite. He's going to do it again. Daze chewed up, spat back out by the big fish. Now Daze below half HP. Gonna turn himself into a big puddle of blood. Shanghai gonna use that Abyssal Voyage to get to the other side again, but Daze can still kite this out for as long as he wants. Maokai and Viego coming up to answer, coming up to help, but Shanghai still on the
He
chase
wants
here.
it.
Here comes Foam. He's still looking for it. Sir Jackson over the wall, dashes. Good moonfall onto 2. Daze is going to be taken low. Here comes the hostile takeover as well. Berserk is going to have them walk back into the enemy team as well. That's going to be No Name picking up another kill as well. As now Levy diving underneath the turret. Maya Manaka trying to get away, but it's not going to be able to get away this time. Levy going to get that shield, that lifeline shield to stay alive for just a little bit longer. It's 3-for-0 up in the top half of the map.
Revolution doing such a great job there to get so deep in and just help to make sure Shanghai does not die. It looked really iffy. I don't know at what point they were actually saying, keep the fight going, keep trading. But at some point, Shang was getting that help coming, and they just said, stay alive, but keep the fight going. And Jackson getting in massive moonfall, massive follow-up as there is a dive going on.
Yeah, that's a good last breath. Pharma now in some trouble here, and Shanghai is the one taking up the turret, so there Levy's not going to go down anytime soon. Killing spree for the Yasuo.
And there you go, another tower down. Revolution picking up where they left off at the end of game 1 rather than the beginning, and looking like a dominant team as they are now. Just I have to actually check. I have the scoreboard off because I'm running the stream. They are now 10k ahead, which I think last time we checked it and I was like, all right, it was like 3k and I was expecting a lot more. This time they are 10k ahead at what I think is an even shorter amount of time.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly is. That gold lead was definitely happened a lot later into the game, especially because of those like objective bounties they were Clinical was able to pick up, as well as the shutdowns. Like this was a game that was a lot more even around this time, but now we've seen a whole lot of Revolution just kind of clean up their act, especially with how aggressive Shanghai has been able to be in that top lane, and Sir Jackson popping off a whole lot more than they did in the previous game. I feel like in the last game it was all the Levy show, but now take a look at the rest of the team. 4-0, 3-0, 3-0. In fact, you could argue that Levy has one of the worst stat lines on their team right now.
Worst player, clearly. Has a death and has less KP than support. Just terrible, honestly.
Terrible.
Yeah, really doing nothing for the team but dying.
Yeah, Foam coming in here, trying to get away. Going to be slowed up by the gravity well just a little bit, but not going to be able to get killed this time. Bullet time coming across here, going to be blocked up just a little bit, but Levy is stuck underneath the turret here. This might be the go button for the red team. They do have a man advantage here, but Foam really low, just going to pop that the big ultimate here. Going to get 2 snares, but they don't have bullet time for this one here. Maya Manaka does not have any mana as well. They had really good setup. They didn't have the best follow through.
Yeah, I mean, the bullet time had to be really used on that wave just to buy time, and then Foam looking for that engage, but I think if they had mana on the Misfortune, there was a possibility they'd go for that. But because that was not communicated or really looked at, unfortunately, they end up losing just their ultimates for nothing on that trade, and more damage coming down. Dragon just about to spawn. This will almost assuredly go over to Rev very easily here.
Yeah, as now Bad Leroy's hanging around the walls here, trying to get some cheeky steals, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Sir Jackson does have a nice line of scrimmage for himself, and also Smite. This Hextech Drake's going over to Revolution for sure.
Yep, a pretty easy pickup, and now Revolution just need to be able to close this game out from here. They have the lead. They're dominant. They are much stronger than they even were in game 1. I think at this point, it's just we need to be able to close this out. We need to be able to make sure we don't stall this. We don't put ourselves in a position where we can end up getting hit by that magical, mythical team fight that the MF Seraphine do have put together. If they can avoid that, they should be able to end this game pretty shortly.
Yeah, as now taking a look at taking stock of where we're at. We're almost 20 minutes into this game. 10,000 some change gold in the lead, up 1 Drake and up 4 turrets as well. This Revolution Ice Age team is definitely looking really strong right now, and especially up against a team of snowballers. You know, this is when, you know, a falling behind feels double.
Yeah, exactly. You could feel like it's just going to open up more and more opportunities. Leroy going topside here.
Yeah, inside the gravity well does get stunned up. Gonna get a bit of that Heroes of the Storm circles right there, as now No Name has to flash away, but it's already dealing so much damage. Able to find 1, no way! Able to get 2 before falling down. Now Shanghai in a 2v1 for themselves, but has to tank the full bullet time. Choose ups, spits out Misfortune. Maya Manaka now in some trouble, but good knockup back from Foam. Flash from Shanghai, but good body block from Foam one more time. Has to go underneath turret now. Maya Manaka taken incredibly low. Shanghai gonna heal up just a little bit more. Foam now looking to try to get away from themselves, but they have all 3 stacks. That's a stun. That's the damage from Sir Jackson. And now they're able to get away with 4 for 1 in the top half of the map.
Just a very unfortunate playthrough of that, as they do going 2 for 1 in favor of the enemy team on that victor. And now bot lane. All right.
Yeah, Levy gets a good last breath on the bad Leroy here as Shanghai knocks Pharma into the air underneath the turret.
Dang,
This
buddy,
big fish
buddy
does
guy.
not count, but you are tanking that turret for way too long. That's a shutdown for the Misfortune now. Levy still looking for days here. Both their HP bars pretty low. Underneath the turret one more time. Sir Jackson, please don't do the sins of your Tom Kench now, as here comes Foam underneath once again. Knocked underneath
right,
the turret.
guys.
Sir Jackson nowhere to go. That's another shutdown for the red team here. Levy goes down as well. 2 more shutdowns for Clinical here, but they're still so far behind. Foam taking a bunch of damage from Killatron and No Name as they continue to back away here. Man,
The classic
nonstop
greed of Revolution once again. As
Yeah.
they go just a little bit too deep there. They're feeling themselves. They did great on that fight, but then they didn't take into account those respawn timers. They stayed a little bit too long, tried to get more than they were able to, and they end up losing 2 more, 3 more actually. And the biggest thing, that was over 1,000 gold of shutdown gold going over.
Yep.
And the biggest, it went over to the Maokai for one and Seraphine for the other. So a little unfortunate that Maokai gets the one, but at the same time, 1,000 gold is 1,000 gold. It's going to help you catch up big time with where the current state of the game is. So you take it where you can get it.
yeah, I mean, I agree, right? The difference between 9,000 and 10,000 gold sometimes is pretty huge. It's now Foam in some trouble. Does not have that flash available for a little bit longer here. Old time coming across because getting a little bit of space for Foam. Here's Maya Manaka is going to be the target there. Bad Leroy dashing in, not going to be able to save their teammate this time, but a good Bissell Voyage is going to come through. Not going to be able to land the knock up here, but they're still looking for. Choose up, spits out the Taken King. Is now he's
Oh
going
my
to be
God.
taken to the grave, and now Pharma looking for a little bit more. Foam is now the next target here as he's slowed up. The damage is coming through, but they're not going to be able to come through this time as they flash away. Vladimir now in the fight. Daze is here. They're still looking for a little bit more. Huge spike of the ultimate there. That's going to be the Moonfall, but it only lands on the Pharma here. Now they're underneath the turret. The last breath comes through. Levy's going to be the one picking up the kills. Sir Jackson is going to pay for his sins. He goes down as well. The defense from the red team is good, but will they be able to continually survive?
The shields.
Levy survives for just a little bit longer. The shields are way too good. Maya Manaka looking for that kill, but she can't quite land the damage just quite yet. Taken
Oh
incredibly
my
low. No Name is going to be
God.
able to find another kill for themselves one more time. That's going to be the respawn from Bad Leroy here. Is he going to be able to defend his base? He's not the strongest, but these HP bars are low.
Just the fight kept going and going. It just didn't seem to end. And then No Name just says, you know what? If we're going to keep going, I'm going to back in TP to get back into this. No Name maybe regretting that a little bit.
Yeah, No Name might be in some trouble here. That's going to be already a whole lot of damage onto him. Levy re-entering the fight, but they're
Oh
stuck
my
into
God.
the Chaos Storm. That's going to be the Maokai ultimate coming across.
Get him
Levy going to be
out.
chewed up. Yeah, here comes Shanghai being the best teammate he can be. As now the rest of the blue team is able to get away after avenging their fallen victor.
A very, very unfortunate look there. And now Dragon, once again, alive here. So Rev probably going to move over to that one, go for their soul point. And just... I really wish that Rev had just kind of played a little bit slower and safer. Because I feel like they have gotten such a lead at this point that they are playing sloppy. And that is why you're seeing those deaths. That is why you're seeing those overstays. They feel really strong. They feel like they could just beat up on Clinical, which is true. But they need to be able to do it. They need to be doing it as a team. And they're not right now. Foam going in might regret that choice.
Yeah, Shanghai still looking to play as aggressive as possible. Does land the slow, but Pharma doing a good job of playing defense here. As now, the Revolution just kind of says, hey, we've already got those other 2 lanes and all of us are here. Why don't we just do a little cheeky bot lane push?
Yeah, right now, they're just kind of keeping pressure on everywhere that they can. With those Nexus towers, already one of them very low. They're just going to continue the push, and this almost assuredly should be the end of the game. Not as clean as I would have liked to see, but Revolution still playing this one out at the very end, smartly and safely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a really good showing from Revolution after a less than stellar kind of thing here is now. That's going to be the ultimate coming across. Good Maokai ultimate. Might be able to find the kill onto Levy here, but once again, the shields and the protection here are way too good as 2 members of the red team are already down. That's going to be the 3rd now. Levy, that's going to be, days are taken incredibly low. That's going to be Visual Voice coming across. They're looking for it. That's going to be Bullet Time coming across. Actually picking up the kill on the no-name here, but stunned underneath inside their own base with nowhere to go. Maya Manaka, the only member left standing once again in game number 2, the same as game number 1, but the only thing they can do is watch on. Oh no, okay, Levy's gonna be the one padding their stats this time as they pick up the ace, pick up the W, pick up the win of the match, 2-0 for Revolution Ice Age.
And honestly, this game even more dominant than game 1. And game 1 looked pretty good for Rev, so I think that really says a lot about what Revolution is capable of. Shanghai doing much better this game, almost doing as much damage as the Victor this game, because it was just constant fighting, constantly on top of that Vladimir, and that's kind of the thing that you needed for Shanghai. We saw him up against the Mordekaiser, who has much more of an early game. If you trade as Tahm Kench versus a Mord, he can go toe-to-toe with that. He can take that and be fine. Vladimir can't do that. He can't do the consistent damage. He's got to be capable of backing off and using that time to heal. Shanghai did not let up the gas, and that's why the aggression worked this time versus the previous game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really was more conducive to Shanghai definitely being able to. The second you give him any, so it seems like Shanghai wants to play those aggressive picks, and if you give him any sort of like leeway, he's going to take it every day of the week, right? We saw how aggressive he was playing even when he was behind on the Tahm Kench versus Mordekaiser matchup. If he's got a lead, that is completely not even a safe lane to even remotely walk towards.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of why I was saying that like Tahm Kench might not be the best pick for Shanghai, because Shanghai loves being aggressive, loves playing more bruisers, right? That's why this Yorick was banned away, right? Yorick, Alawi, Sejuani, Trundle, Renekton, these are all the champions that Shanghai plays the most. So to see him on the Tahm Kench, even though he performed well, was still a little bit odd.
I mean, I think it's what he's been playing a lot of this season, and just been really good, because Tahm Kench is not only somebody who can just fight people early and be fine with that, but he also scales extremely well as a tank. And if you're just a good team fighter, you want to have that tank. And we saw just at the end there, being able to yoink that Yasuo out of the tower to make sure that there was not going to be a death during that fight. Really important. And then, you know, unfortunately, as the game went on, Clinical just never able to kind of put their foot down and really reset themselves to actually get themselves into that game. Couple of close fights where it looked like they might have been able to pop off, but Levy hitting those wind walls, keeping the damage off, and making sure that then MF could not sit down and just pump out damage, that Vladimir did not have the cooldowns to be able to continue the fight, to make sure that Viego wasn't getting into that backline and taking out the Renata, taking out the Victor. It was just no capability for Clinical to get their game plan off the ground.
Yeah, for sure. But that is going to do it from us here. GG's to both teams, but at the end of the day, there can only be one victor. Revolution Ice Age is going to be your victor for our stream game for this evening. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, press that follow button. We have League of Legends action for you to watch nearly every single day. And if you haven't already, and if you're feeling generous, press that subscribe button as well. As 20% off for September. And it really helps us keep the lights on here at Zero Gravity Gaming. But for myself, the entire live broadcast team, Thousand Eyes, my producer and co-caster for this.
We're getting the ad read.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. Trust me. Trust the process.
Okay, I'm trusting the process.
Yeah,
You're just like
Eyes, my producer and
right
co-caster for this.
Scaring
Producer
me.
and co-caster for this evening. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't noticed already, we have a sponsor for this season. ProComps is a first of its kind drafting tool aimed for competitive and solo queue play. ProComps allows the user live feedback and analysis on drafting, giving them recommendations on picks, notes on matchups, and analysis on the enemy team's win conditions. These features allow the user to gain an edge on their opponent and improve their drafting skills. Use code ZGG for 50% off the first 3 months of ProComps. And if you saw a little bit of it on stream, helps us talk about the storyline of our games as well. It's a really, really cool tool. Make sure that you guys use code ZGG when you're subscribing to ProComps for 50% off your first 3 months. But from everyone here at Zero Gravity Gaming, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you want to join us, we are looking for folks to join our crew here at Zero Gravity Gaming for more casters and producers and stuff. So, bother Shang or something, or 1,000, I don't know. Bye-bye.